We're back. Total Scottish football finally back. 2023. I mean, a lot of people thought we were probably dead in the water, boys, but we've had more comebacks than Undertaker at this point, Ryan. But we're finally here. Happy New Year, lads. How are you, Ryan? How you doing, mate?
Happy New Year. Do you know what I was just thinking to myself there when you played the intro? I cannot remember the last time I actually heard that piece of music. It was a bit nostalgic in a sense.
So,
you know
like,
what I mean?
I'm going to take this away from the bottom of the screen. Actually, you probably. I was going to say, guess what episode it is.
But I've not actually looked, right? If I'm
right,
still
okay.
not looking, I'm going to take a guess, right? So, remember we got to 100 and we had like a wee 100 thing, and then we must have got like maybe, I don't know, I'll say like 115.
111. 111.
That was a good guess.
Adam, how are you, mate? You must be a happy man after the weekend.
I'm a very happy man. It's nice to see you, chaps. Happy New Year to the pair of you. Yeah, what can I say? New year of the Singe, a new year, hopefully bringing a new productivity within TSF. So
let's not hold
fingers
up.
crossed.
Well, I mean, how many times have we maybe uttered those words? A wee bit of productivity with TSF. That must be
If
like.
ever there was a podcast that needed a New Year's resolution, it was us.
How many though? How many?
I know. So obviously, it's our first show back. We've missed so much. The last show. Do you remember like what the headline of the last podcast was? Because this just proves how far we've been away. Because how much things have changed. And when I read it this morning, I was just pissing myself.
See, when I think about it, right, the last podcast, I can't remember the exact date, and I will fathom a guess in a moment. But so, like, think about it, right? I think that Boris Johnson would have still been Prime Minister. the Queen would have still been living. And there must have been umpteen different things that, you know, and look now, like, I mean, there must be so much has changed. I'm going to guess that the last time we done one, that Div was guessing that Giovanni Van Bronckhorst would win the league with Rangers anyway.
Probably. I can't confirm that. I can confirm, though, Adam, there was a big European result for a team that were flying at the
In Tangerine, was it not?
In Tangerine, yes. They'd just beaten... who was it even beat? Who was it they played? Was it
AZ
Feyenoord?
Alkmaar.
Alkmaar, because they beat them 1-0, didn't they? And
then they get humped.
Aye,
so our last episode was after Glenn Middleton's winner at Tanner's, and everyone thought, I literally remember saying, like, what a squad Dundee United have got. They're going to have a magic season. And Jack Ross didn't last much longer than that. I mean, how many goals did Dundee United have conceded since we last did a podcast? Because after 2 weeks after that, conceded about 40.
I was about to say it must be in the tens. It must be in the tens of thousands at this point.
So we might as well. We'll look back at the weekend. We'll start off the Old Firm 2-2 draw at Ibrox. There's lots to talk about. We're going to split this into sections. I want to talk about the actual game first because we're going to come at VAR when we talked about the Edinburgh Derby as well. Ryan, Celtic were pretty hoaching for large parts of that game.
Yeah, it was probably one of our poorest performances of the season, and some would maybe say our poorest performance domestically, without a shadow of a doubt. I think that, you know, we started the game quite well. Of course, we scored early doors. I think that it went maybe the opposite way from what a lot of people expected. I think if anybody was to guess where the early goal would come from, it was probably going to be Rangers. But we played well, and then just there was moments in the game where I think we just allowed Rangers to build too much momentum. You've seen that in a couple of periods in the first half, and then the second half, we couldn't have asked for a worse possible start. We opened the gates for them big time. They managed to take the lead in the game, and from that point, we had to chase. And it didn't seem like for the majority of the second half, it didn't seem like we wanted to chase them, and it was quite a challenge for us. But we got there. We never stop, I guess. And a point is better than nothing. I think that 9 points just remains a bit too much for Rangers, whereas if they closed that to 6 in the weekend, we could have been having a very different conversation. Granted, I would have loved to have made it 12 after the game, but I mean, 9 points I think is still a good... It's a win for Celtic in a way, and Rangers have gained nothing from it, really.
Especially given the context for Rangers, Adam, it'll feel like a defeat for them. I mean, that first goal for Celtic is just an absolute calamity of errors. I mean, initially when I watched it, I'm giving Morelos pelters, but then in hindsight, Tavernier was just as bad.
I think Celtic's Christmas came a bit late, receiving 2 gifts from Rangers, if we're being honest. I totally agree with you, Ari Morelos. I thought that it was, like, he doesn't even look and just swings a leg at it, but Tavernier should just smash Maida out of the way for me. I think with regards to what Ryan said in terms of Rangers starting that second half, they'd have ideally wanted to come out on the front foot and have a go at Celtic anyway. Didn't do so, but were able to kind of churn out that ideal performance within the second half. Celtic to me looked a little bit jaded, and I know that that's often the question mark with most performances, Ryan can obviously talk about this in greater depth than I can, come 65, 70 minutes, what with Postecoglou's style of play. But to me, seemed a little bit fatigued, and the fact that Rangers haven't taken advantage of that is bound to be an absolute kick in the teeth, because like you lads say, 6 points is then an interesting title race. Granted, I think it's still over, but there's still, half the season, or near enough half the season to be played, so you never know.
There was a point after the first goal with Celtic where you thought there were a couple of chances and you're thinking, right, this could be 3-4-0 today if Celtic really want it. And to be fair to Rangers, they weathered the storm and they came back. And I think at half time, Michael Beale probably would have felt pretty decent. They came back out, second half, great goal by Ryan Kent. And that was probably the best I've seen Rangers play. That wee period there after half time, they looked really good, Ryan, and it looked like a completely different Rangers team.
I guess from a Rangers point of view, the encouragement is in the fact that there is improvement there. There's no doubt about that. I mean, you look at the performances that they've had with Van Bronckhorst against Celtic, despite obviously the win in the Scottish Cup semi-final, they haven't been great. And in that game, they certainly got better. Listen, I don't think that any of the two teams were really that good in the grand scheme. I think it was actually a really poor game of football in terms of quality, the passing. It was really sort of scrappy. But I mean, what they done was they came out the second half and they done things that they made it hard for Celtic. And then when they did get in that position, you know, everything that Celtic normally do was a bit more nullified. I think that, you know, even though you might want to watch your team attack these games, you know, if you're a Rangers fan and you're at Ibrox, you want to see them score as many goals as you want. But when you're in a position where you're 2-1 up and you've not had great success against Celtic for a few games, you know, you probably are more than happy to watch the team sit in a little bit, just make it difficult. They subbed on centre halves. They made sure that Celtic weren't going to get any chances. Ultimately, we did get that chance, but they were very close to make sure we didn't. So there was things there that I'm sure they'll be happy that they've seen.
The goal is this was Ryan Kent thing in the world. Like, everyone knows he can do that, Adam. He's got the ability. He just does it like 4 times a season, which is the reason he's still at Rangers. If he could produce that every week, you know, he wouldn't be here. But it's a great goal. And then the penalty. I mean, I've seen a few Celtic fans complain, and for me, it's a Stonewall penalty. I don't really think there's much of an argument. I know on a slow motion replay they were saying, "Oh, Sakala steps in his foot," but that's when Starfelt slid in the first place. What do you think of that, Adam?
That's the big thing for me. The fact that Starfelt goes to ground and gives the officials that decision to make. And in fairness to James Tavernier, most of his penalties that I can remember anyway seem to be taken low. That is an emphatic spot kick from the skipper to then put them in front. No, absolutely top drawer. And from there on in, Rangers were in the ascendancy. And it's a big what if, because if they take another chance, do I fancy Celtic coming back from 2 goals down? Probably not. So it's the fine margins. But the second Celtic goal is absolutely criminal. I mean, I see Ryan Jack raging as soon as Kyogo's hit the net. I think he, in particular, has a couple good opportunities to clear or just boot it behind for a corner, do absolutely anything, usher it out of play. And ultimately, they're punished with, 2 minutes to spare?
This is
where the context is huge, though, isn't it?
Can I just make a wee comment? It was very similar to the game back in April, because in April when we won, and you know, we won the league there basically, the goal that we got with Cameron Carter-Vickers was a break of the ball. It landed at his feet. All he has to do is swing and hit the target, and you're not missing from that sort of distance. It's the same that's happened there with Kyogo. They've got the break of the ball. We're lucky to find it. And I'm not going to lie and try and rewrite my thoughts on the game now that it's done and there's been a few days for the dust to settle. I didn't think we were getting an equaliser. I thought the game was done. As a minutes moved by, the one thing that I said to my dad who I was watching it with, I said to him, if we're going to score, it's going to have to be another Cameron Carter-Vickers-esque one. It's going to have to fall to somebody in a position you can't miss, and we're going to have to hope they hit the target. And I'm just very glad for Kyogo, for as good as the form he's in, and for as good as a player he is. We all know he's unbelievable, top scorer in the league for a reason. I'm just happy that that's one of the ones that he hasn't managed to blast there the VAR or put wide from a very close range effort. So it was probably, Adam's right, you know, it's probably lucky that we found that equaliser considering how the second half went. But the statistics are mad. Like, they showed it in Sky, didn't they, that before we ended up scoring, most of our goals scored. We're the best team for scoring the last 15 minutes of a game. It's unbelievable. Like, we've got the subs, we've got the depth, we've got the attitude, and somehow we'll always find a way, it seems.
That must have been playing in the Rangers players' minds, I think. With the chances they missed at 2-1 up, And then that's where the context of this is huge. I mean, at 2-1 at Rangers, Ibrox is rocking. They're playing better. They've got a new manager. There's a bit of positivity, a bit of belief. If they go over the line there, I know 6 points is still a lot, but it's really going to change things in terms of their mentality of how they're going to approach the rest of the season. But now, as we say, Celtic yet again have got another winning goal, and it would have felt like a win for Celtic and a defeat for Rangers. So, it's a tough one for them. But I mean, in the long term, Michael Beale will be encouraged because. And once he come in, did he win the first 3 and then a draw? So
first 4,
the performances weren't great, and they weren't great in the first 4, but they found a way to win. They were probably a bit better on Monday there, and they didn't find a way over the line. But they've got to be happy. I mean, in terms of where they are compared to where they were a couple of months ago. One final thing I want to talk about was Celtic's team selection. I'll come to you, Ryan, in a minute, but I mean, I don't know what James Forrest has got on Ange, but I mean. He must have like Ange's Scuddies on his phone. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
It was a weird one.
I have to say as well, very surprised that Alistair Johnston was thrown right into the deep end.
Did well, I thought though.
I'm not as surprised about the Johnson one. It's not that I expected it. Me and Hamish from 67 Hail, we had a wee conversation about that. And he said that he had a feeling Johnson was starting. I was more on the Juranovic side of things. But then when you hear Ange's comments before the game that Juranovic wasn't 100%, and obviously Ralston's still not back from injury, it kind of makes sense that he was in there. But the Forest one, what I don't get is, I know that, this is the thing, Ange loves a curveball in these games. I don't think there has been one derby yet where he hasn't thrown a curveball with a starting 11. There's always somebody in the sheet. You go, didn't expect to see him. But one thing I didn't expect was it to be James Forrest. I just don't see what he brought to that game that was an advantage over the likes of Abada, over Jota. Those are 2 players who have caused problems to Rangers time and time again over the past year and a half, where Forrest has had only now 2 starts in the last 3 years in derby games. So I don't understand what the thinking was. Listen, if we ended up winning the game, then it would have probably been vindicated, but we ultimately didn't win the game.
There was talks of like a bug in the camp, though, wasn't there?
There was talks there was a virus going around or something. So maybe.
But I mean, fuck me. If there's one game you get yourself up for, it's that one. That would, the adrenaline would get you through. Just finally, just from a Rangers point of view, in terms of the players on the pitch for them, Alfredo Morelos. I don't even. How many years now have we been having these conversations about him, like not being in shape, out of form? He does always tend to come back and go in a wee purple patch, but it doesn't seem likely anytime soon. And one player that actually really impressed me for Rangers, and someone I don't really rate, was Fashion Sakala. I thought he was really, really good, actually. I could say in the weekend, it was Monday. He was the one, Adam, that looked kind of direct, really seemed to cause Celtic problems when he went for them.
And ultimately, I feel as though Michael Beale can get a tune out of Ryan Kent on the other flank. But again, sick of hearing about Ryan Kent and Alfredo Morelos. Rangers should have cut ties with Morelos years ago, as far as I'm concerned. Will Ryan Kent stay now with Beale? Don't really know. But with Kent and Sakala running at you on the flanks, and I like Malik Tillman as well through the middle, if they can keep Antonio Cholak fit, Morelos shouldn't get a sniff from me. And then Rangers
Morelos and Kent was
another striker.
Think about 18 months, 2 years ago. There was like all these talks of like 20-odd million for the both of them, big teams down south. I mean, they're not going to get anywhere near that. I mean, Kent's out of contract. Is Morelos out of contract?
Morelos is as well, I think, yeah.
Rangers, so, I mean, you're potentially going to lose these for nothing now.
Rangers Football Club will be in a better place without the pair of them. And I wholeheartedly...
Certainly Morelos. I'm not sure about Kent.
They'll be in a better place.
Yeah,
Kent has offered nothing to them for the longest time now. Now, one thing I will say, and I do agree... No, don't screw your face. It's true. He'd be delivering if he didn't. I'm not scared to say it. And he might turn... Do you know what? If he turns a leaf under Michael Beale, fair enough, because that would benefit him, his career. Rangers, I'm sure their fans would be absolutely delighted. But the one thing is, and I do agree with you, is over the past 5 years, say, their 2 biggest assets have been Ryan Kent and Alfredo Morelos, and they're about to lose the pair of them. Say what you like about their form, still been their biggest assets over the last 5 years, and they're about to lose the pair of them for absolutely nothing. If that doesn't speak volumes about the running of that football club, I don't know what does.
100%. That's just what I was going to say as well, because it's not even just them two. Glenn Kamara's another one. I mean, a few years ago they were talking big money for him. I mean, his value is depreciated ridiculously, and I think like a lot of when Van Bronckhorst left, he obviously. He carried the can for what was going wrong, but the problems laid above him, and Rangers fans have been pretty clear with that. So as much as Michael Beale has done a decent job since he came in, I think the problems that are there lie a little bit deeper than him. Well, quite a lot deeper than him. And we'll just have to see how they go. But anyway, 2 each. I don't think it was that great a game, Ryan, actually, to be honest.
No, it was
a good old firm, but...
No, I thought it was a poor game. I said
No.
many people. I think we're a neutral. It would have been okay. 4 goals. You know, there was a fair few chances, but I thought the quality was really.
What was the lack of bookings all about?
No, one booking.
Shocking.
It was embarrassing.
Are we going to talk about
For the bet builders? Yeah.
Are we going to talk about the main talking point about leaving?
Yes, we're going to come back to it.
We're going to come back to it.
So stay tuned for Conor Goldson handball chat. All right, we're coming back to it. I want to go down to Adam next. I want to go down to Tynecastle. There's one thing you don't want with a hangover, and that's to watch your team get pumped 3-0 from the dugout. And Lee Johnson wasn't a happy man, but I watched the first half, and Hibs aren't great. They're really not great, and you lot were pissing yourselves.
Oh, I'm still pissing myself now. They really are rank rotten. The way that it's going, David, you could be facing off against that mob next season.
I fucking hope so. By the way, that would be good.
So that would be quite something. Look, I don't know whether Lee Johnson's to blame. From the outside looking in, I feel as though it reeks of a cross between Vladimir Romanov and Craig Levein. In terms of recruitment, is just scattergun. Nobody's got a Scooby what they're doing. I thought that this could be Lee Johnson's final straw. Then I remembered we've got them in the Scottish Cup at Easter Road. Mm-hmm. I think if he loses that, it's as good as done.
He's a really interesting answer. Because when he was appointed, I was like, I didn't get it. Because remember, they were in for that John Dal Thomason as well. Where did he go to Blackburn?
He's at Blackburn now, yeah.
And I think they're doing all right. And he'd done all right at, where the fuck was it? Was it Malmo he was at?
Sorry, you're talking about John Dal there. Paul Heckingbottom was another manager that was chased out of Hibs. And look at how he's doing with Sheffield United in that exact same league. Sheffield United are in the automatic playoff places, looking absolute dead set to go up. Blackburn in the playoffs. You're not telling me that neither of them are bad managers.
Yeah, I know. But Lee Johnson,
I must admit, I don't think that Lee Johnson is a bad manager either. I think that
he's an interesting one.
Adam's touched on it and saying, I just think that Hibs, for once again, similar to some other clubs in this country, for years have been run very, very wildly. Is the word that I would go about it. The best I can remember Hibs being in the past decade was when Neil Lennon was in charge, and that speaks absolute volumes. When Neil Lennon is the guy that's getting the best out of your club, that pretty much sums it all up. He's been very honest over the past couple of days, Lee Johnson. I think we've seen some of his comments in these press conferences, and it raises whether, is it the right thing to say, is it the wrong thing to say?
I kind of like that from him. I think he's
well within his rights.
I'd want to hear that as a fan, fully.
Because a lot of Hibs fans are...
Lennon, Leanne Dempster as well. Yeah.
Yeah. She was a big, massive loss.
That duo worked well, and Dempster, even toward the end of her tenure and like the start of Jack Ross's, it felt as though Hibs were on to something. Yes, they bottled both cups in that season, and it was great to see. But that was their first top three. Their first top three finish for the best part of 16 years. So how can it have been that bad? And now to see them where they are now, I mean, you'd kill for that back.
We'll come back to the actual game in a minute, but Lee Johnson post-match, mediocrity, that was the big word that came out of it. He was fed up of mediocrity. He said at the top end of the pitch in terms of their finishing, but I think basically what he was implying was like throughout the whole club, there's this feeling of just kind of mediocrity at Hibs. I think he's kind of saved himself a little bit with that press conference, because a lot of Hibs fans are going, you know what, he's actually spot on. The fact that he was out the piss the night before, I don't know about that. I mean, is that actually been confirmed? There was like multiple videos and pictures of him in this boozer, so I kind of respect it.
I mean, if you were Hibs manager, you'd be on the booze concert.
I tell you, try to pick that midfield. I mean, no wonder he was in the pub the night before.
But they showed a graphic on Sky of Hibs signings and the calendar year of 2022, and you just look at it and you go, no wonder. As scattergun was a good word to use from Adam. They've had umpteen loan deals of players who I don't even know add anything to the side. They've got free transfers that include the likes of Aidan McGeady and David Marshall. And do you know what? Fair enough to the two of them because they're experienced players, but I don't think it's exactly...
McGeady's on fuck all, though. He's been injured the whole thing.
He's been injured.
Marshall's got some credibility in the bank, but I'm not having McGeady.
But do you think that McGeady would have added anything if he was fit? Absolutely not. I don't think so.
Not,
and then
no.
you look at all these undisclosed players that they've brought in. I look at the list of them, apart from Martin Boyle, I don't look at any of the guys and go, that's been a good signing for Hibs. Some have been useful, but they've not been good signings. And that's where I think Lee Johnson has been shot. He's not shot himself in the foot. Someone's just took a two-barrel shotgun and done it to him, because I just think he's been handed a really difficult deck of cards to play with.
So I think you look at two signings in particular. Hibs get Aidan McGeady, Hearts get Robert Snodgrass. Hibs get Harry McCurdy, Hearts get Stephen Humphreys. It's just like they're miles off it. I mean, McCurdy's a fucking B-Tech Ollie McBurney, isn't he? I don't know what he's up to with the hair and the
suits them down to a T with that rotten hairdo as well, can I just say. Rich coming from me, but my God.
He's not up to much. And let's talk about the actual game, Adam, because Hibs had chances, to be fair. I mean, I don't know if you heard John Collins on the radio. He reckoned that Hibs were much the better team in the second half, and that there wasn't much in it in the first half.
Yeah.
So when Michael Stewart pulled them up by saying, you're saying Hibs were the better team, he kind of shat it a little bit.
Leanne Crichton was spot on. It's easy to look good at 2-0 down.
Yeah.
I mean, they had chances. A chance, I remember, I think, with
the big one was the Yuan with Civic.
Yeah. And obviously that gift as well, talking about gifts, I mean, that would have been one for Yuan, but Civic fortunately recovers. But I just never got the impression that Hibs were scoring. I really didn't. I mean, I know that you're obviously a big Kevin Nisbet fan, Dave. I'm not against Kevin Nisbet. I do like him as a footballer, but it was totally anonymous. And as a centre forward, you're only as good as the service that you receive, or in this case, don't receive. Hibs were just very, very poor. Very
the thing
poor.
is, like, Nisbet's not long back, and since he has come back, Hibs have looked a little bit better at the top end of the pitch, but he can't do it all on his own. He's been out for the best part of a year, and what's around him is just not good enough. The midfield is horrendous. I always think, and I keep saying this, it's now 2023, and Paul Hanlon and Lewis Stevenson are both still starting derby matches for Hibs. I mean, when I first started watching football as a kid, they were like 35. So what the fuck is going on? How is it even possible they're still playing? But anyway, so Captain Fantastic Lauren Shankland pops up with the first goal and then tucks it with a penalty. We'll come back to the penalty decision on our VAR chat in a minute or two, but were you surprised to see him given the armband?
Yeah, very much so.
So was I, to be honest.
But then I remember that Craig Halkett can't stay fully fit for more than 5 minutes.
And now he's out for the rest of the season.
Exactly. He would have probably been a choice. Snodgrass as well with that experience, maybe, but he's only just really... I mean, he and Shankland both joined in the summer, but I don't know. I think Shankland, if fully fit, is a guaranteed starter, and that's probably what Robbie's looking at.
Probably guaranteed to get back in the Scotland squad now as well.
Can I put a forward question to Mr. Kennedy while we're here, because it would completely slip my mind if I didn't. How are you looking forward to life without big Craig Gordon? How's the start? I mean, I know that the weekend wasn't the best time for your goalkeeper after what happened, but I mean, in terms of the way forward now, how is it without Big Gordo being there?
It's tough, mate. It's tough.
But at the same time, you're so lucky though. I mean, in terms of the back.
Yeah. But again, like, that just speaks volumes about where our recruitment's been for the past few years as opposed to where it was. But that being said, I mean, it is tough because there's a little boy inside of me that just is taking great pleasure in watching Craig Gordon come back. If that's to be the end, sorry way to go.
It's definitely the end, isn't it?
I think so. But he had been written off before. I'm with you though. With the age that he's at now, I think it's going to be very, very tough.
I just think from a human point of view, you'd chuck it, wouldn't you? I mean, surely if you were recovering from a leg break that bad at that age, you'd just go right.
With a young family, the missus just saying, let's just put an end to this. But I don't know. He's come out, to be fair, and said that he'll see us soon, but whether that's as a player or in some other capacity, I don't know.
It's a double leg break. He's going to be out for 9 months at least, you would have thought. To a year, you would have thought. The only thing about Craig Gordon is, I think a lot of people have said it, the reason he's been able to play so long is that years he had out, he's not got the cumulative effect on his body, if you know what I mean. He was out for so long, especially for goalies, you're diving around all the time. You're going to have aches and pains when you're older. He kind of had years out, so I mean, maybe that's helped him. I don't know. We'll see. But for Xander Clark, he'll be the happiest man in the world now because he's back playing football every week. And I mean, it would not shock me if he ends up starting for Scotland in the next few months, because who else have we got? I mean, you're looking at the Scotland goalie situation. We are gubbed. I mean, you've got Xander Clark, Liam Kelly, John McLaughlin.
We're gubbed.
Christ.
We're gubbed.
Unless he goes against Marshall, I don't know.
Is there any good young Scottish keepers on the rise? Because
apparently there's a 17-year-old in Man City's academy. That's what I've heard. Right? So give us 10 years and we'll be flying.
That's fine.
It's so crazy because you went through like Scotland been pish all over the park for so long. Now we're finally getting decent players in every position, and now we've not got goalie. But we had fucking 3 top goalies at the same age for like 20 years.
And you don't think what would have happened had Gordon not come back? This could have been an issue that we could have had the last couple of years. So,
let's move on to that. Let's talk about VAR because it's
can I just have one more thing to say about the Hearts and Hibs game? I've only picked up on this very recently, but I understand it's been the case for a wee bit of a longer while now. What is going on with Robbie Nielsen's head? Like, what's going on there?
He's accepted it, hasn't
he? Is he full on accepted?
He's trying that Pete Durham ahead of Derby Day, isn't he?
Weird.
James McPake's done the same just now. He's just accepted it and just fucking shaved it off. I respect that more than trying to hang on. But anyway,
that's what Paul McGowan should have done yonks ago.
Paul McGowan's still soldiering on, to be fair to him. I wouldn't want to tell him either, to be honest.
No chance.
Anyway, so VAR, let's talk about it. Connor Goldson. Now, initially when the game was happening and you saw the replay in the game, I wasn't totally sure. The angle you saw on the replay in the game, I wasn't 100% sure it was handball. I mean, you could see his hands were up, but you couldn't conclusively tell from that angle whether it had hit his hand. We're all thinking, if that hits his hand, it's got to be a penalty. Then after the game, you see the side angle, and he's fucking slam dunked it, isn't he? So, I mean, just nuts. I mean, there's that clip of John Beaton saying it's not up to me. Ryan, just take it away.
I'm just I'm at a loss for words when it comes to VAR at this point. I've just actually made a video there going on like a 15-minute rant basically about the whole thing. But that at the weekend to me just epitomises absolutely everything that's gone wrong with VAR at this moment in time. It's not even the fact that decisions are wrong. It's the way that we're going about these wrong decisions. Yeah. We're seeing very little consistency in the decisions being made. We're being offered no explanation as to why decisions are being made. And then we're seeing a change week in, week out as to how they're being handled when we do decide to bring VAR into it. This isn't a Celtic problem. Now, I've seen a lot of Rangers fans and fans of other clubs as well who have taken the stance of calling Celtic fans paranoid or Celtic paranoid because of, Celtic now going to talk to the SFA about it. No, someone has to do it for the sake of Scottish football. This isn't a Celtic problem. You're lying to yourself if your club hasn't been robbed by a VAR decision so far. It's happened to everybody. It just happens to be the case that Celtic have been the ones who've maybe stung the most. That decision at the weekend just makes no sense. And the fact that the referee does not take it upon himself to make the decision in a game where he's in charge, it just makes no sense to me.
But the thing is, I don't even want to talk about the decision because for me it's fucking not important. Like, the decision's irrelevant, really. It's the process of what happened. I mean, Willie Collum is, arguably our most experienced referee. He's watching that. What angles has he seen? I mean, this is why there's so many unanswered questions. Has Willie Collum only seen the angle we saw on the telly? Because if he has, then I can maybe kind of understand. But that should not be how it works. He should have multiple different angles of that incident to look at. And if he's seen them all, why the fuck has he not told them to go and look at the monitor? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And that's why there are so many questions. If they're not getting the angles, why have we got the technology? Because there's no point having it unless you're going to do it properly. And we said this from the start. It's only as good as the people operating it. That's what it comes back to. Ultimately, the officials are not good enough, I think.
And the people operating it are fuds.
And there's 2 little cameras in the stadia as well. I mean, they're talking like 6. Like in other European leagues, they virtually have as many angles as you can possibly think of. There's such a lack of cameras that, well, I'm not excusing the shocking decisions week on week or terrible officiating. They do need a little bit of a helping hand in some respect.
But this is why I don't think they should have brought it in until we were ready. I mean, bringing it in mid-season was a total farce.
12 games, farce. Dave. What is meaningful about 12 games?
It doesn't make any sense. And the most annoying thing is, I feel like the SFA or the SFL have just done it because everyone else is doing it. So we've got to catch up.
They just want to shoehorn it in and make it look
as if everyone else has got VAR, so we've got to have VAR. And it doesn't make any sense. There's been so many decisions. I want to come to the one at Tynecastle as well, because apparently there was 4 different checks. I don't know. I haven't had that. I saw a thing as one that they were checking for 4 different things.
Well, we were informed about 2. So there you go.
But this is. I really want to come to this because if you remember a few weeks ago when Celtic played Livingston at Celtic Park and there was that Abada offside decision, right? Now, to all the world, it looked like Abada was offside because he was behind the defender. Defender played the ball because it's going to run through to Abada. It probably should be offside, right? But then there was this mental long check, and people weren't actually sure how to interpret the rule, because the rule says something like if a defender deliberately plays the ball, the attacker then becomes onside, unless the attacker puts pressure on the defender. It's a really grey area. But the Hearts goal, so Toby Sibic, he puts the ball in the net and he's offside, but it's after the ball's been played by the Hibs defender. So it's all, I just don't really understand. And I don't think the refs understand. This is the crazy thing. So you're sitting watching this Hearts game, and I'm watching it and thinking, right, is the goal going to get given? Next minute, they're giving a penalty. You're like, okay, this is just... But also, Kevin Clancy, I think, blew the whistle before the ball was in the net.
Apparently
it was an absolute mess.
I didn't hear that, but supposedly he did.
Yeah.
And that was my first encounter with VAR in Scottish football, given I'm not being able to get to as many games as I like. And I'm just thinking, if this is it week by week, I might as well just give my dad the season ticket for the rest of the season, because I cannot be arsed with this pish. Honestly,
we all need to be teething issues, Ryan, but this is just a biscuit.
See, the thing is about teething issues and all this. At this level, teething issues shouldn't exist. And I know that,
but there wasn't the Premier League down south. So
I know. But like, that's what I was about to say. Like, I know there's been teething issues everywhere they've used it, but the fact that the SFA were so confident in bringing it in and they rushed it in because they thought they were ready, that would suggest to me that the teething issues should be at a minimal. The thing is, and you touched on the people making these decisions, I feel like they're just making up a new rule because we go. It's got to the point where I don't know the rules of the game anymore. Like, you know, what you think you know, you don't, because the next week it changes, and that's what's baffling to me at this point as well. They need to establish something we need a clear... I don't know, I feel like we need a book, we need a guide, we need somebody to go and find something and present it to us and say, okay, these are the rules, this is how VAR works, and this is what we're following, and the referees will grasp it. But the chances of that happening are very, very slim.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching being at Hampden for the Scotland Israel game where Dykes' goal was disallowed and VAR gave it. I mean, to be honest, VAR worked well in that situation, and actually, it increased the experience. It was more of a buzz because you're sitting waiting, and when it works well, you know, it can be good.
Well, I think that you only have to look as recent. I thought it worked really well at the World Cup. I thought that was probably the best I've seen VAR used in any competition so far.
Even the 2018 World Cup, when it initially came in, it was used better than it has been since. Yeah. So it just proves when you've got the angles you need, the technology works, and you've got the officials that are good enough, it's going to work. But we don't have any of that. I said at the start, how you can have VAR but not have full-time officials, I find to be utterly mental. But it's an issue that's going to rage on for the rest of the season. I mean, the Goldson handball, I don't get why he wasn't showing all the angles and actually got them on and stuff. But I'd imagine there probably will be a statement if Celtic really have gone to them. And this is the thing, like, if St Mirren go to the SFA demanding action, they're going to get fuck all. Celtic might get something out of them because it's just the way it works, isn't it? They might get a response out of them,
at least,
and then maybe get a bit of clarity.
At least Connor Goldson may get awarded his gold medal in Olympic volleyball, because that's precisely what he was
playing. Did tell you that one, did he?
No, well, I'm just being true, mate. I'm just being true.
Right, let's move it on quickly. I might as well talk about the Dunfermline game that weekend that didn't happen because absolute nightmare. So I was down in Glasgow for the New Year. But to be honest, the main reason I came down for the 3 days was to go to the game in the second.
I know. Adam, how bad's that, Adam? His main reason wasn't even to come down and see me; it was to see Dunfermline.
I know. Saw the boys and that. No, I was tied in nicely. So anyway, wake up on the Monday morning. I'm like, okay. I'll have to be honest. In hindsight, now it's the least up I've been for a Dunfermline Falkirk game, and like I just couldn't be arsed. I'll be honest, right? But still, I managed to get myself up for it in the morning. Pitch inspection. I mean, you just know straight away it's going to be fucking off, and then it was an absolute disaster. And it's
Scotland are relieved.
They must have been shitting themselves, literally. I mean, you've got the Old Firm, Edinburgh Derby, and that all on the same day. So when it'll be rescheduled, I don't know. A lot of Falkirk fans saying that we wanted it off. I don't really know why. But the fittest squad we've had all year, and we're 7 points ahead of them. But anyway, we'll see what happens when that gets rescheduled. Just annoying on League One. Adam, you'll maybe have seen this a bit more. Edinburgh City, dearie me, they are flying, by the way.
Who's Edinburgh City? I thought it's FC Edinburgh.
Sorry, FC Edinburgh. Sorry.
So, and I'm the one that apparently doesn't watch League One. Great.
That Meadowbank move doing them absolute wonders, isn't it? Despite being one of the worst stadiums, if not the worst stadium in the entirety of the SPFL pyramid.
Shocking, isn't it? I know that
they're on a point behind us now.
I know that David's got his what he wants to move on to next, ready on your be running order on that. But just very quickly,
you just take over. That's fine.
No, just very quickly in regards to the up and down the pyramid. Any big winners or losers from the weekend that we've not brought up? I mean, you've brought up Edinburgh City, but I mean, right now, it's a bit of a weird situation for a few clubs. I just want.
So what you're saying is that you've just Googled the results from the
I knew the results.
Stay informed.
Well, if we got this recorded at a point where I wanted to record that, I really wanted to talk about the situation Aberdeen are in, because Jim Goodwin can't be fucking far away for the sack at this point.
I'm going to come back to that later on. I've already thought about that. That's why I was running the show. You see,
Sorry then. Sorry.
No, but it's a good question about the lower leagues. There was some interesting results. Arbroath got a big win over Dundee, which was much needed because they have been
very
all season. Dick Campbell's really losing the head in his post-match interviews, that's Dick Campbell at his best when he's angry, man. And also
Park on top as well. Nice to see.
Queen's Park on top with a win over Thistle, and also Inverness Hammering Cove 6-1, which was the last for Jim McIntyre at Cove. He's got the sack.
Terrible appointment at the time. Don't know why they went for him. Paul Hartley's probably shooting that job.
It screams Paul Hartley or Kevin Thompson to me that'll get that. But we'll wait and see. And Edinburgh, beat Airdrie 5-3, and I think they're now a point behind us all bit. We've got 2 games in hand, or maybe they're level with us. I don't even know actually.
League One is batshit crazy. Can I just say? Back to
it always is, though, isn't it?
Such a good division. Absolutely.
I mean, we've been, really streetwise this year. I've seen some of the penalty teams that score loads of goals but then just get humped. But we're winning games like 1-0 and that. We're taking long throws into the box,
grinding them out.
At Kelty. So I'm really enjoying it. But anyway, let's segue on. When we get back to our routine, we'll go in more in depth in all the kind of games. But this is the first show back, and it's the new year. I want to look ahead to the year ahead.
I also kept it a surprise, but I've got a quick quiz if we have time.
I love it. The quiz is back.
Beautiful.
So, 2023 predictions. Now, I didn't actually give the boys categories for this, because normally we'd go like, if it was a start of season show, you'd go like, who'll win the leagues and cups and all that. So I'm looking for kind of out there things, right? So I'm going to kick it off with one that I'll give you, right? First to get sacked in 2023. I'm not counting Jim McIntyre, right? Next manager to get sacked in 2023. I mean, I think there's 2 stout candidates. Lee Johnson's got to be in there.
Yeah, he's my number one for me.
And the man Ryan mentioned earlier, Jim Goodwin's got to be on with a shout, surely.
Yeah, I think Goodwin's probably the name that I think the Goodwin's one of the names I would go to first. Just
with the way that they've tailed off though, Ryan, because they're still there or thereabouts. They finished 10th last year.
But are they showing any signs of? They're on 26 points. Which is the same as St Mirren. They're only 1 above Livingston. And they're only 3 clear of Hibs. And we're talking about Lee Johnson being in this situation. Give it another couple of weeks, and I don't think Aberdeen have been great. They could be below Hibs in the league.
They backed them in the summer as well.
Bottom 6 would be an absolute disaster, to be fair. But I think it's still very, very early into his tenure.
He needs to if he gets a couple of results in his next few games, I think he'll be fine. But
very surprised they didn't beat Ross County on Monday.
That was a really damaging result.
Yeah,
but this thing, the Rangers and Celtic ones, the Celtic game in particular, I felt a little bit sorry for him because I think he's kind of damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. Because if he sets up to have a go at Celtic, gets pumped 4-0, everyone's raging at him. Where he was 4 minutes away from my point. So I know they set up horrendously and it wasn't nice to watch. And I firmly believe that Aberdeen, Hibs, and Hearts should always have a go at the Old Firm at home. I just think that's the way they should do it. But he almost got a point. It's a bonus if you get a point against Celtic or Rangers.
I mean, we're talking about it there, Dave. Like, is a point really all that? It'd be what, 4 ahead of Hibs as opposed to the.
I know, but how many points have they picked up against Celtic at home in recent years? It's not a great deal.
Fair point. The Rangers one's the big one. I mean, leading 2-1 in injury time. How the hell they tossed that away? Don't get me wrong.
How much blame can he take for that? But, you know what I mean? How much blame can he really take?
That's just individual errors, isn't it, really?
You would say so. But the Ross County one was damaging, I thought. What I will say about Goodwin in terms of getting sacked, I don't think Dave Cormack will sack him. I think he's already come out and said he'll back him in January. But they backed him in the summer. And to be fair, Majovski's done well, Duke's done well. But they're just not clicking. I mean, if you look at their points record compared to Stephen Glass last year, it's not that much better than Stephen Glass was.
I was going to say that if they get decent dough from Majovski, because there's talk of a move, is it to Stade de Rennes?
Yeah.
Supposedly being credited with a £4 million interest or something. If I was Aberdeen, I'd take that money, got to reinvest and try and solidify top 6 minimum, but the fans will obviously want a European place. They'll want to be best of the rest. So
I tell you who's done a decent job at saving their skin towards. We've missed a lot, but there's somebody who I thought was a surefire to go at some point. He's done a good job. Ian McCall, he's saved his cell a wee bit. He was in a really bad situation at some point. I think they went, what was it, like 6 games?
Typical Thistle, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? Because up until that point, they were absolutely flying too.
Yeah.
And then they
Peaks
went on a real bad
troughs.
run. Yeah. It's an interesting one. Jim McIntyre obviously away, as expected. Here's another prediction. I think this will be Dick Campbell's last year at Arbroath. I think he'll be gone.
I think so.
Whether he gets sacked or he leaves, I'm not sure. But I think they'll get relegated, if I'm honest.
I mean, Hamilton are going down, aren't they?
Accies are awful.
Accies, and I think Arbroath too.
I think so too.
And Accies, in terms of predictions, administration, liquidation for the Accies. I mean,
so hold on a second. Just that implies that you're saying that 2 teams will get promoted from League One.
Edinburgh, no bother.
And Edinburgh, right? Okay, just making sure.
That's another prediction. Falkirk will still be in League One this time next year. There you go. Just to fire them out. Anything else? Any bold Rangers predictions, Ryan?
Have you not got any? Name your categories now. We just firing stuff
off the cuff thoughts.
I want something bold about Rangers. Come on, give me that.
But listen, there's bold about Rangers, and then there's saying something for the sake of it, and then getting
Mick Beale gone by May.
Well, listen, you never know. Could be going. It's just, do you know what? I'll tell you what.
Dick Campbell, the new Rangers manager.
If he's not backed, Mick Beale in this January window or in the summer window, and backed heavily, I think Celtic will just continue to get further and further away. And then you are talking about a situation that in December, this time in December, then Mick Beale might be somebody who's getting looked under the cosh. He needs back.
And do you have absolutely no worries about Ange leaving? No.
Listen, it's always going to be something that pops up. I think that
he's learned his lessons from Rodgers.
Come the end of the season, I'll tell you how I'm feeling. I think that I think he's wanting one more crack in Europe before he considers leaving.
I was going to ask you that, Ryan, because the talk today is that Frank Lampard's obviously under fire at Everton. He's not going to leave Celtic for Everton, is he?
You would have to be mentally challenged
to take that job
different ways.
But I tell you what, though, if there was a manager that I think could go into Goodison and unite that club that are in a fucking mess.
It would definitely. Ange's the guy for it. But if he was to leave this behind to go to Everton at this moment in time, he would be off his head.
Transform their fortunes. That's a good look on him. Good look on our game as well.
I'm not sure I can see it. I think you're right.
I think there's a bold claim for you. Celtic will finish second in their Champions League group.
Don't do this,
that's
right?
Don't
do this, mate. You're going to get yourself disappointed.
That was Rodgers' thing. He wanted to have a crack at Europe and never felt he was backed enough. That's ultimately why he left, when you think about it. Really, he really wanted to go to Europe and never got it. Here's another one. Last prediction from me. Neil Lennon will be back in the Scottish Premiership before the end of 2023.
With Hibernian?
No, with oh Christ, who's he going to go to? That's
Motherwell.
No, they're too well run to put to a point, Lenny. I don't know, St Mirren or something. Fuck knows.
St Mirren have got their act together a wee bit, to be fair. I'm
doing them a disservice. I'm doing them a real disservice.
What about Kelly maybe, if Derek McInnes moves on?
He's just got a new deal, is he not?
Maybe.
Do you think Neil Lennon will be back in Scottish football soon?
With Hibs?
Yeah, I think so. He wants a Celtic job again, doesn't he? So
yeah, he was saying he wants to return.
He came out and said that. That would be really, really interesting. Right, okay, let's move on. You got a quiz for us?
I've got a quiz. Would you like to do a quiz?
Let's do a wee quiz.
Okay,
let's do it.
Love that quiz.
As always, just a bit of fun. We'll give you 5 questions each in penalty shootout format, and I'll let somebody go first and yada yada. So I've got a coin.
It's not fun. It's a serious competition.
It's serious competition. Yes, absolutely.
We should start taking from now on like a leaderboard in the quiz. Like who's doing. We'll have to do it as like 1% because.
It was the Celtic Thunder. We tried that for a while and I just lost. Because we play all different quizzes now. We've got Terrible, we've got Guess Who, we've got all different types of quizzes on Celtic the Thunder, so it's hard to
see the effort he puts in over there, Adam.
Listen, it's not me that makes the quizzes, it's other folks, so it's,
Is it Matthew Duff Enterprises still?
He's still
is he still kicking a ball right enough?
He's still listening.
Kicking a ball.
He's hung up the Quizmaster jacket.
Chris Tarrant's retired. Jeremy, what's his name? I guess stepped in. What's his name?
Clarkson.
What's his name? Clarkson, that's
Jeremy
it. He stepped in.
Clarkson.
Anyway, right. So this is your coin. It's an SD card, and on one side we'll keep it as heads, and the other
What's
side
on that, out
we'll
of
keep
interest?
it as tails. None of your business. It'll get me fucking locked up. Right. So Kennedy, because your team won at the weekend and the other one's team didn't even play, I'll let you pick if you'd like to be heads or tails.
You're literally punishing me for an act of God in frozen weather. That's right.
I'll go with tails. Tails
You're
never
going
fails.
tails, right? Tails never fails. Well, in this situation, tails has failed, and heads
Brilliant.
does come up the winner. So, David, would you like to go set A or set B?
Set B.
Set B.
Oh.
Right. Okay. Well, I think the first question probably suits Kennedy because I think this is the kind of thing that he would know. Just strikes me as the sort of thing that he would know. He's probably
Just as a wee disclaimer.
It's
See, because
pressure on here.
we've not been doing these podcasts regularly. Like, my knowledge of like what's happened this season is nowhere what it was.
Gone.
Well, you're going to be happy.
Gone.
You're going to be happy to know the topic of the quiz is to round up 2022. So your mind can be going way back, to January time or whatever. So you're just going to have to wait and see.
This is not going to bode well.
So your first question, Adam, and what I think that you will end up getting, but we'll just see. Who was the referee for the first fixture in the Scottish Premiership that used VAR? So who was referee for match number 1? I believe it was Hibs versus St Johnstone.
It was at Easter Road.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
See, I really got it wrong because I thought it was the Celtic Hearts game, but
No,
No,
it was a
that
Friday
was
night.
televised.
It's a Friday night.
Celtic.
So
I've got two candidates.
I think I know who it is.
I've either got Kevin Clancy or Nick Walsh. And Nick Walsh was the first that popped into my head, so I'm going to say him.
I thought it was Clancy.
Okay. Well, the correct answer is Kevin Clancy. He was the correct answer.
Because I literally remember going, of all people, they've got it to Clancy.
So there you go. Right, question number 1 for you, David. We're going to bring back a famous quote from 2022. Which SPFL manager turned his heating off to boost his side's relegation hopes?
Tell me right. He was going to get bollocked naked as well at one point, if I remember correctly.
It's not Tommy Wright.
Mark McGee.
Mark McGee.
Why did you Tommy Wright? Why the fuck do I think it's Tommy Wright?
You said it with such confidence. I was like,
of course it was Mark McGee. I don't know why. Why do I think it was Tommy Wright?
Is it just both?
I even knew another quote as well.
Do you know what? It's an interesting start. It's still 0-0 with.
Has Tommy Wright even managed in the last year?
Chile was his last job.
I know. Where did I bring him from?
Right, okay,
Kennedy.
Which club offered their fans the chance to buy a 10-year season ticket?
Dave's beloved Falkirk, was it not?
Yes, it was. It was Falkirk. What was the point in that, by the way? A 10-year
You know, it worked out at like over £500 a year for Falkirk.
Need that dough, baby.
They need money.
No youth academy. That's it.
Just before Dunfermline got put in administration 10 years ago, we tried to do the same thing. So that tells you everything you need to know, I think.
Right, David, your third. Is this your third question?
Second. Christ, settle down.
Sorry. Who did Queen's Park beat in the Championship playoff final?
I thought you were going to say semi-final. I was going to punch you. The Championship. Oh, who was it in the final? Airdrie?
Airdrie is correct. That is the correct answer, which means it is 1-0 between the two.
One apiece.
Right.
Indeed,
Okay.
yeah.
Right. Question number 3, Adam Kennedy. You have to take your knowledge a little bit over the pond because the question is: Lewis Morgan moved from Inter Miami to which other MLS club?
New York Red Bulls.
Is the correct answer. Well done, Mr.
I wouldn't have got that.
Thanks, mate.
Right, David. How many Scottish internationals played for Rangers in the Europa League final? So how many?
Ooh.
And I'll give you...
Are we talking current or all that? Just...
Well,
it doesn't matter, actually.
I'll give you options. It's either 2, 3 or 4. There you go. Was it 2, 3 or 4 Scottish internationals
Right, so
who
you've
played
got
for Rangers?
McGregor, Ryan Jack probably featured. Beyond that, I'm struggling after that. Scott Wright's not got a cap. Who else would have played? Probably just Jack and McGregor. I can't think of anyone else. But I feel like there might be. No, I'm going to stick with that. Ryan Jack and Alan McGregor, 2.
Well done. The correct answer is 2. There you go.
Nice.
So
Nice.
not bad. So two each at the moment, which isn't
I've
too
thrown this with the Tommy Wright shout, haven't I?
bad. Kennedy, this is your 4th question, isn't it? So this is it, getting down to the nitty-gritty here. Which French club did Christopher Jullien join after leaving Celtic?
Oh, great question.
Oh,
got it.
God.
I think.
They signed him from Toulouse,
Yes.
did they not? And they sold him
Maybe I don't have it then.
Did they sell him to Montpellier, Ryan?
Correct. Good.
What a shout.
Kennedy.
What a
well
shout.
done.
I would say
Montpellier's
Toulouse,
correct.
but yeah.
That was actually a really good answer there. So you're going into your last question in a very, very good position.
Brimming with confidence.
Right.
Brimming with confidence.
Brimming.
Question 4 for you, Buick. And once again, you've landed. This is the positive that you've got from picking set B, because you've got a couple of multiple choices. So who's the longest serving manager in the SPFL to this moment in time? Is it Jim
just the top flight?
SPFL, full top four. Jim McInally, Stuart Petrie, or Dick Campbell?
Dick Campbell, because Jim McInally gets sacked. You had Jim McInally written down there, didn't you? He's not there anymore.
It's Dick Campbell. Well done.
Yeah, it's Dick Campbell. Petrie's second, but anyway.
Right, so that means we are down to the 1v1s at this point. Kennedy, you need to get this one right. Okay, here we go. Who scored a brace for Scotland in their 4-1 win over Armenia?
Easy. Oh, Armenia. Oh, God.
Yeah. Oh.
Not as easy.
Stuart Armstrong?
Correct.
Great answer.
Really good answer. Really good.
I thought it was going to be the Dykes, Ukraine.
Yeah.
We might need to go to sudden death in a moment. We might need to, because David, I think you should get this. Ray McKinnon returned to management with which SPFL side?
Where the fuck did Ray McKinnon go? Oh, dearie me. I should get this, but it's not coming to me. Ray McKinnon.
I think I know, but it's a tough one.
Kennedy's got a solid chance of
Ray
winning
McKinnon.
now.
Okay, so it's not Clyde because Jim Duffy went to Clyde. It's not Peterhead. It's no one in the Championship, I don't think. I don't think it's League One either. League Two. Who the fuck did he go? I have no idea. You know that. I'm struggling. Hold on. Give me a second. Why can't I remember this? I think it must be someone in League Two. I think it's someone in League Two, because I don't use in our league. Definitely not the Championship. League Two, Ray McKinnon. I'm struggling. I'm going to kill myself for this.
You'd have better guessed the League Two team than their team.
Stranraer. I don't know.
Kennedy, do you know the answer?
Is it Forfar?
It is Forfar, which means, well done, Adam Kennedy. You're the winner.
Fucking Tommy Wright.
Quiz. Tommy Wright's fucked it for you. I was getting ready to get the a wee kind of head to head there in case we went on, and Kennedy would have loved it, because obviously we usually pick one that's like a number.
Just give us it anyway, man.
It would have been
go for it.
It would have been how many goals did Hearts concede in their Conference League group, and then I would have seen who got the closest. So what would you have said?
Fair?
What would you have said?
Oh, you don't fucking know. I don't have a clue what any of the results
No,
are.
I'd have to get the calculator out for this.
Well, just go. Hazard a number.
5 games.
Hazard a number.
Let's see. So, right, 5 to Fiorentina away, 3 at home is 8. 3 and 3 to Istanbul is, I think it's 16, is it?
It is 16. 16 is the correct answer. Yes, 16.
Yeah,
but there you go. That's it. Well
fair.
done. Well done, Kennedy, anyway, because you did win. So
Thank you, mate.
that's what matters, I guess.
Oh, well, that's that then. Any final thoughts, troops? I need to get my dinner on. I'm starving.
I'm actually quite hungry as well. Now that I think about it.
Your motor, Russell, you something up nice?
I'm having a nice pasta, I believe.
Oh,
any gnocchi tonight?
No, not the
smashing gnocchi. Does Maggie, like I have to say.
Oh,
never sampled it, just heard good things.
It's a very good gnocchi, to be fair. Save that for next week.
Okay. Right. Been a pleasure, guys. We're back.
Lovely. We
might see this week. We might see 6 months. We might never see it again.
See the end of the season.
The suspense is what makes it.
It was nice to just check in. That's all that matters.
Listen, we're safe. We're safe.
Halfway point check-in.
That's us safe, and we'll see you in 2024. All the best. Cheers.